All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to deconstruct a crisis. We're looking at this really cool case study in teamwork and, more importantly, what happens after you solve a huge problem. And we're going to do it all through the story of Pixel Island. Now, this isn't just some fantasy story. It's basically a playbook for how any team can take total chaos and turn it into a massive opportunity.
But here's the thing, we're not starting at the beginning. No, we're jumping right into the middle of the mess. Just imagine this. The world all around you is literally falling apart. The blocks that make up the floor, the walls, they're just blinking in and out of existence. The very fabric of reality is flickering like a bad signal. This isn't just an attack, it's a complete system breakdown.
So, what in the world was causing this digital earthquake? Well, this world was under siege, but not by some invading army you could see. No, this was a corruption coming from inside its own code. It was a threat you couldn't just fight with swords and shields.
And here's our culprit, an entity they called the Glitcher. Now, what's so wild about this thing is that it isn't really a physical being. Think of it more like a living computer virus. It doesn't throw punches. It sends out these waves of corrupted code that just make the entire environment unstable.
So, when you're facing that kind of total systemic chaos, you absolutely need a response. And that response? It came in the form of three very different heroes, each with a super specific and totally unique skill set. Let's meet the team, shall we? So check this out. In any big crisis, you kind of see these archetypes emerge, right? And Pixel Island is the perfect example. First, you've got Max, the builder. He's your boots-on-the-ground guy, the one who takes immediate physical action. Then you've got Lena, the strategist. She's the one looking at the big picture, interacting with the system itself. And finally, RoboCube, the technician, your deep-cut specialist who has this one perfect tool for the job. But at first, they're all just reacting on instinct, you know? Their efforts are separate, totally uncoordinated. In this, right here is the turning point. All their individual efforts were, okay, they were helping a little, but they weren't getting to the root of the problem. Max would build a wall, and it would just glitch away. Lena would hit some switches, but the effect was only temporary. RoboCube's beam could only do so much by itself. They quickly figured out that just reacting one by one was never going to work. They had to come together. They needed a real plan. This is that moment, the pivot from pure chaos to actual control. It's when they stopped just plugging leaks and started to truly work together. They took their unique skills and wove them into a single, cohesive, and, as it turns out, an absolutely unbeatable strategy. And this is just a brilliant example of synergy in action. It's not three people doing three things anymore. It's one well-oiled machine. First, Max, the builder, uses his skill not just for defense, but to actually reshape the battlefield and trap the glitcher. That creates the opening for Lena, the strategist, to perfectly time the mechanisms and drain the thing's power. And only then, once the threat is cornered and weakened, can RoboCube, the specialist, move in for the final blow, using its beam to clean the corrupted code piece by piece. You see how that works? Each step makes the next one possible. It's a perfect chain reaction. And the result of this perfectly executed plan? Total, absolute victory. The glitcher, this thing that seemed like an unstoppable force of nature, it just couldn't handle their teamwork. It collapses in a huge flash of light, turning into nothing more than harmless pixel dust. Just like that, the crisis was over. But, defeating the enemy is only half the story. What happens next? The world doesn't just snap back to the way it was. It has to be restored. This is that moment of transition, from a desperate fight for survival to the beginning of a brand new day. And in this moment, Lena, our strategist, just does this one simple thing that captures it all. The relief, the pride, the sheer exhaustion. It's the period at the end of a long, crazy sentence. We saved Pixel Island. And the change? It was just night and day. I mean, look at this. On the left, you've got the before, that chaotic, unstable mess the glitcher created. And on the right, the after. The code is fixed, the colors are back, the world is solid again, and its people, the Pixlings, they're celebrating. The contrast is just incredible. So what does that victory actually look like? It's way more than just a quick repair. You see it at the heart of their world, the crystal block, which is now glowing again, a symbol of their new strength. You see it as light literally spreads back across the land, washing away all that corruption.
This isn't just a fix, it's a total rebirth for Pixel Island, and the cheering pixelings are all the proof you need.
But here's the real kicker. True victory isn't about getting back to normal. It's about creating the chance to build something better. The end of this crisis wasn't really an ending at all. It was the beginning of everything else. And Max, the builder, he just says it all with this one line. His focus instantly flips from defense and repair to creation. And now we can build something amazing. He's not thinking about the threat that was. He's looking at the blank canvas of a safe future. And you know what? These aren't just empty words. Their victory becomes the literal foundation for something incredible. They don't just rebuild what they lost. They start building something brand new, a floating city made of glowing blocks. The very skills they used to survive are now being used to innovate and create. Which really just leaves us with this one big thought. This story, it's not just about pixels and glitches, right? It's a model for what can happen after we overcome any major challenge. It shows us that the real prize for solving a crisis isn't just getting back to normal, it's the freedom and the opportunity to build something entirely new. So the question for all of us is, once the chaos is cleared, what new worlds can we build?